Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the 37th episode of the Children of the Trenches podcast with your host, Anthony Finhess Hess.
And Jaivion, Professor Cardinal.
And today we got a very special guest,
Sonny McEwen.
Sonny McEwen. We met Sonny in the boxing gym. He trains here at Jackrabbit Boxing. And after having like a conversation with him, we noticed that his backstory and his story overall was like really crazy and unbelievable and kind of inspiring. You feel me? So that's why we invited him on the podcast. And just so y'all can hear the same story that we heard that inspire us, you know. So first I want to just probably get into like where are you from, you know, and what was it like growing up, where you from?
So I was born and raised in Inglewood, California.
Inglewood.
Grew up in the actually not too far from the stadium where the Rams are playing now. So,
Okay.
I mean, I wouldn't say I had a crazy childhood, but at the same time, you know, just being in LA, the exposure is definitely there, you know, to go downhill. So, I can kind of say I kind of ventured into both in terms of, you know, doing things I was supposed to and definitely doing things I wasn't supposed to. So.
Right. Okay. So you was pretty much walking that line.
Yeah. So definitely, you know, I always told when I was younger, you know, when you straddle the fence, you're always going to end up on the side you don't want to be on. So that definitely ended up happening to me.
Right. And pretty much when you was on that side that you didn't want to be on, how long did it take you to realize, like, okay, this is not what I want to do. This is not where I want to be?
It's funny going through that whole situation because the whole time I'm aware that I wasn't supposed to be on that side, but at the same time, just the influence of, you know, just being on that side and not necessarily knowing how to navigate the whole thing just kind of kept me on there longer than I probably was supposed to. So, yeah. So that's definitely how kind of things played out, just being that, you know, growing up on that side, coming from a family, you know, to me, I always say my family, we didn't come from a lot of money, but we come from a lot of substance in terms of, you know, values and, you know, knowing what you're supposed to do, know what situations you're not supposed to be in.
Right.
But at the same time, like I said, growing up in Inglewood, it's like, you know, you have that exposure to, you know, the streets. So
Right. So you was always pretty much self-aware of everything you was doing, everything that was going on.
definitely, I was always self-aware, but it just got to the point to where, you know, I just wanted something different for myself. So I had to play on it. I had to act on it.
Right. And I also think that, like, growing up, you know, where we all came from, because you're from Inglewood, Long Beach, but, I mean, ultimately it's all the same thing.
Environment, yeah.
We only play to the cards that is dealt with us, dealt to us. You
Yeah.
feel me? Like, the stuff that we know now about, you know, the real estate we're going to get into, we didn't know that when we was younger. You know?
Absolutely,
We knew that
yeah.
when we was younger. Who knows? We probably wouldn't have been on that side of the fence.
Absolutely, yeah.
Probably wouldn't have did the things that you had to do, you know? And so that's why one of the reasons why we created the podcast is just to kind of inform the youth or just inform people from
Definitely.
our environment, the children of the trenches,
Yeah.
about the certain options or the certain things that they have, you know, to, you know, that they can use instead of,
Yeah.
like how you say, you know, on that side of the fence. And so pretty much, when did you finally say, you know, I'm done, I'm through with that?
What was the turning point?
Right.
I would say the turning point with me was the second time I was in solitary confinement when I was in prison.
Okay.
I was in a cell by myself for like 6 months. And one day I just woke up just kind of randomly and just start writing goals down. I'm going to read a book a month, start saving, I'm going to build my credit, and even to start building goals outside of prison. You know, I'm not going to sell drugs no more. I'm going to surround myself with them people. So, like, you know, once you give yourself an aim, your conscience really only knows that. Like,
Right.
your conscience really only knows that you tell it. So if you tell it something, it's not going to believe anything else. So that's something I kind of learned in doing that, because once I looked up, after, I want to say a year, probably less, that whole list, I completed everything on that checklist.
Wow, from prison.
Yeah.
Wow, and that's what I wanted to really get into, because a lot of people haven't really. I don't think we discussed wholesaling yet on the podcast. We had a couple real estate episodes, but I don't think we've discussed wholesaling yet.
Yeah.
And I remember you was telling us that you were working on closing your first wholesale deal from prison,
Yeah.
which was crazy to me because I think I told you I was out knocking on doors before trying to wholesale and
Yeah.
doing pretty much foot to the pavement, and it's a very hard thing to do.
Absolutely.
So how did you even learn about wholesaling from prison? How did you find the deal? Let's go through that.
So, obviously in prison, people have, we get phones or whatever.
Right.
So, a lot of people get on the phone and do whatever. So I was on the phone. I'm always, trying to, advance myself and trying to learn something new. And I just happened to run across Jay Morrison. And, I heard him talking about, getting into real estate. And I've always been of the mind of a lot of people where, you need a lot of money. You need capital. You need all this knowledge. You need to be an agent or something. But he was talking about wholesaling. So I joined his academy.
Really quick. Can you just explain to the people exactly what wholesaling is?
So basically, wholesaling is basically where they call it equitable title or equitable interest in a property, to where basically if you have a property you're looking to sell, I come to you, I negotiate a deal where you sell it at a certain price.
Right.
And me having the knowledge of knowing that I know investors that are actually looking to buy a property, I can actually, sell my paper. That's all you're really doing. You're selling your paper. You're signing your paper to another buyer for a markup.
Right.
So if you have a property that you're selling that needs some work to it, and after it's all fixed up, say it's worth $750,000, but it needs a certain amount of money to get it fixed up and get it put on the market, I can come offer you cash. What we call a cash offer on the property, where say, I offer you say $520, $530. I get her in a contract for $520. I turn around and network it to my buyers for $530, $540, where I make the difference of that $10,000 to $20,000.
Exactly.
You get your money as a seller. You're happy. My buyer, he has another property to work on. That's how he makes his living. You get to move on with your life, and I've made some money in between.
So you don't actually get paid until the deal is closed?
Yeah. So once escrow closes, so once title transfers from the seller to the buyer, that's where I make my money at the close of the escrow.
Okay, great. So you found the Jay Morrison program in prison?
Yeah. So the Jay Morrison Academy, it kind of consisted of introducing you to real estate, which was wholesaling, in terms of different strategies or going to the court building, skip tracing and things like that. And then he goes into investing, and then he goes into like syndications in terms of buying apartment buildings and stuff like that. So I just stayed with wholesaling because I'm like, this is, I grew up reading Rich Dad Poor Dad and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, this is my end. So, I jumped in.
Okay. So you found out about wholesaling from the program, and how did you actually find the first deal? How did you, get in contact or?
So I would be up.
How long did it take you?
Right.
It actually took, I didn't actually close the deal until I actually got out of prison. But
Okay.
so it took me, so what I would do is I would be on my phone, and like at night while my cellie's sleeping, I would actually be up on Google Maps.
Okay.
Like now they call it virtual driving for dollars. I didn't know that I was actually virtually driving. I was doing it out of necessity. I couldn't go out and drive neighborhoods. So I would actually be on Google Maps and go up and down streets. But Google Maps, the houses on the pictures on there are probably a year or two old.
Yeah.
I'm going up and down the streets. I'm like, okay, this is an ugly house. Write down the address, skip trace it. And they have a site called Intellius where you can, now they don't do it, but before you can skip trace a single house. So I would get the address, skip trace the single house, put their number on the list, and I would just create my list overnight. And the next morning, because my cellie worked in the kitchen, so while he's at work, I'm cold calling. So I would cold call for 3 hours. And then I end up finding two sellers, actually. One, it was actually his uncle's property. He lived in North Carolina. But I was cold calling him about his grandmother's house, and I started off the conversation. Hey, my name's Sonny. I was calling you about 123 Main Street. I was just calling to see if you guys were thinking about selling in the near future. And he was just saying, you know what, we actually are, but my grandmother's ailing, so she's eventually going to pass. And when we get to that point, we're actually going to be looking to sell the property. So I actually just followed up with him. It actually took me 18 months. So I followed up with him for 18 months. And during that time, I ended up getting out probably 4 or 6 months before we actually ended up closing the deal.
Okay.
Now I know that a lot of the problems that people have with wholesaling is the cold calling, is the following up. You know, nobody wants to seem like, oh, I'm annoying this person or something. Did you have that worry, or did you pretty much was like, fuck it, this is what I'm doing, I don't even care about none of that?
So I actually started off kind of good, and I actually, because my sister at the time, she was in Maryland, and I ended up cold calling a guy in Maryland, and we didn't get the deal on the contract, but I just seen the process in terms of, you know, we negotiated price. I had someone actually, so JVing, what they're talking about, JV, I JV with a guy in Maryland. He went out, walked the property, took pictures, presented the contract, and, you know, I just seen the process. Like, we would have made $30,000 off that deal.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know, it was just, to me, just see that process. I'm like, I mean, not like that, but it's like, I mean, just tell me to don't call you back. Yeah, otherwise I'm gonna keep calling.
I'm tapping in.
So, you know, if people are like, you know, I'm not interested, then, you know, I'll follow with them probably 2 or 3 months later, and then if they give me the same energy, then I'll kind of back off.
Okay.
But if I'm calling you, you're like, yeah, I'm thinking about selling, but, you know, I'm, you know, until there's an actual definite no, I'm following up.
Right.
So that was just my whole process.
I remember I called this dude, and first time speaking to him, he answered the phone, went off. Stop fucking calling me. I'm tired of you motherfuckers calling me.
They
I'm
get
like,
annoyed.
Yo, this is my first time calling you. Like,
They get annoyed. They definitely get annoyed.
Go ahead.
What you finna say?
I was about to say the virtual driving for dollars. I think that's a gem in itself, because realistically, driving for dollars in our city, you only got access to what's in front of you.
Yeah.
You feel me? But you can do deals from across the state.
Yeah.
the
So
virtual.
a lot of people talk about it now, but I was basically, like I said, I was really doing it out of necessity. I couldn't, you know, my family, they have their own life, and on top of that, people don't necessarily buy into stuff until you actually are successful at it. So I'm like, you know, let me put in my work and, you know, see what I can reap from it.
Right.
During your process, do you usually come with, like, when you find a seller, do you find a buyer first, or do you find a seller then go, you know, looking for a buyer?
So what I've come to learn is it's actually more important to have your buyers list first.
Okay.
So, you know, eventually starting out, I'm just like, just get the set out, find a buyer. But over time, you realize that your buyers actually kind of make up what you're actually able to market, or who you're able to market to. So if you only have single family buyers that are buying in a specific zip code, that's kind of what you know, that's all you're made up. But if you have buyers that are buying across the nation, or buyers that are buying 4 units, or, you know, people that are buying tear downs or land, so that kind of helps you, you know, get a better description.
Wise up the playing field a little bit. Yeah.
Definitely. So, you know, my thing was, you know, I always go to meetups. And now that, you know, the city's open back up, that was my main thing. I would go to meetups I had like 3 or 4 that I was going to every week. So I was going to one in Van Nuys, Prosperity Through Realestate. I'll go to their lunch at the Sizzler every Wednesday. Danny Carter had one, Buy Back the Block, in LA. I would go to in Phoebe's. I was just going to those meetups, and, like, you know, people are seeing you on a consistent basis. They're like, okay, you're not a one-off. You're somebody that's serious. So, like, you know, they'll answer my phone call. Even if I'm, you know, just acting like, hey, you know, I'm trying to figure this out, they'll answer my phone call, because like, you know, just like somebody in the gym. If you see him in the gym on a regular basis, like, he might not necessarily have the skill right now, but you see him, you know, he's dedicated to being persistent.
Right. And pretty much I want to talk about when you did get out, you know, and you started going to those meetups. And I imagine your circle changed. The group of people you hung around
Definitely
kind of changed a little bit.
Yeah.
What was that like? Did you get in a situation to where you pretty much had to tell people that, you know, I'm distancing myself, or, you know, you had to, you know, do anything of that nature?
So I actually started from prison. So, like I said, once I got out the hole, like, I built up a library to where, like, you know, I think one year I read like 60 books.
Damn.
So, like, I started attracting those type of people. Like, people see me, like, you know, you see people at their norm. Like, even here at the gym, you see their norm. Like, he comes to the gym, he's sitting down. He comes to the gym, okay, he works. He comes. So it's like, people walking by my cell, like, every time I walk by your cell, you reading. Or every time I see you going somewhere, you got a book in your hand. Or when I see you on the yard, you working out. It's like, you know, I stopped smoking in prison. I stopped, you know, selling drugs. So they're like, they can see the change. And it's like, at first you look, he not that serious, but it's like, over time, like, yeah, he not changing. So, like, you know, once I seen that, you know, your actions kind of become, you know, either a repellent to some people, or it's an attraction to other people. So, like, for people that's not on the same page as me, what are we gonna talk about?
Right.
I don't do drugs, so I can't talk to him about smoking weed. So it's like, but to him, he walked by, he see what I'm reading, we reading the same thing. We actually have a conversation. So it's like, we're spending more time together so for me, when I got out, fortunately and unfortunately, like a lot of people from my generation were in prison. So like a lot of the people that I was running with, at the time when I was on the streets, we were all in prison. So, some of them were still in prison, some of them got out. But it's like when I got out and I see like, okay, you got out and you picked up habits in prison. I know not to mess with you. You got out and you're kind of, you're growing, so I can deal with you. Or he's still not. So it's like for me, I kind of got out and it was like over such a long, I was in prison for 10 years. So over that such a long period of time, things kind of naturally change over themselves where, people are moving away. He's died. He's changed his life. So it's like for me, I really kind of was able to kind of come fresh and new.
Okay.
Go ahead.
What was that transition like? Like once you got out, it was like straight to work, or it was like you
definitely I hit the ground running. So
okay.
So when I got out, I was offered the opportunity to go to a transitional home, but I'm like, I didn't really see a reason to go once it actually came down to it, because it was like you're not really offering. Like my whole mind was I'm going to be a business owner. So,
right.
Getting a job, going to AA, going to NA, getting my, like that stuff, like, I don't need to go to a transitional house for that because I'm already self-motivated to do certain things. So, like, in order to do these things, I already have to have that. So, for me, it was like I said, like, it was a program called Defy. And basically, it's an entrepreneurship program where they kind of help, because the lady who created Catherine Hope, she was of the mind that a lot of criminals or people who are labeled as criminals have the same minds of CEOs and entrepreneurs. So, her thing was, if you're selling drugs, you're a master marketer. If you're CEO of a company or if you're running a gang, you can be a CEO of a company. So it's like when you have those sort of things, like, or if you're selling drugs, you're a salesman. So it's like, so I was in that program. So for me, I already was kind of writing out how I wanted to, make my transition. And fortunately, I was able to, it was pretty simple for me.
That's a dope program because I feel that it's the exact same way. Kind of how we said earlier.
Yeah.
We just don't have those tools.
Exactly. Yeah.
Around us.
Or the resources.
Exactly. Has there been anybody that you've kind of put on growing up that you like, showing them about wholesaling, showing them about credit or anything like that? Have you started doing that?
So it's just funny, like me and my mom, just watching her. So when I got out, she was kind of like, her credit wasn't in the best position, but just giving her kind of a game plan on how to turn her credit. Like she was like in the 520s, and now she's probably like 650 or something like that. So just giving her a plan, like Robert Kiyosaki was basically talking about when he got out of credit, his plan was he wrote down his whole list of credit that he owed, and he started out from the biggest to the smallest, and he paid everybody, but he focused on taking out one bill. So the smallest bill, so if he had bills from 35 all the way to 200, he would pay all of them their minimum payment, but he would focus on taking out that 35. And then from there, he would just take the money that once the 35 was paid, he would double it up and pay on the bill that was over. So that's basically what I told her. She had bills ranging from like 75 up to like 2,000. So like now she's to the point to where she's knocked out 6 or 7 of those bills, and now she's just worried about, a small little nest egg. So now it's like, just to, like you were saying, people don't have exposure, so they don't really know how to, execute on certain things. So when she had a game plan on how to, execute it, it's just now she's
take off.
exactly.
Snowball method.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, so you got out, you did that one. Have you did any wholesale deals after that?
Yeah, so I've done 3. So funny enough, the 2 that I actually closed on were 2 that I started off with in prison.
Okay.
So another one was an auction. So I ended up getting my hands on an auction list. And I would call this guy, and he would always tell me, like, yeah, I have a buyer, but it was never sold. Yeah. So, like I was saying, going to these meetups, I would go to a meetup every Wednesday, and it was a young lady that was actually, she ended up being the buyer that he was talking about.
Oh, okay.
She had it under contract, but she didn't know whether she wanted to keep it or sell it. But her not knowing about wholesaling, she didn't know how to gather buyers. So, I offered to help her. Like, I offered, like, my uncle could come walk the property and give you an estimate on what the repairs on the property would be. So she said she actually wanted a real contractor. So I had some access to some contractors, had them, come walk the property and give her estimate on the property. And after she got the estimate, she was like, I don't want to keep the property. So I was like, I can definitely bring some buyers as well. So I end up, assigning that contract and getting paid on that wholesale deal too. So I actually end up closing 2 deals from prison.
Yeah.
So
Getting it done.
Done.
Nah, but so your uncle is a contractor?
No, so he's a handyman.
He's all okay.
But I
okay.
was just, I was just like, if you need someone to, because he, contractor, handyman, pretty much, I mean,
Yeah.
they can still give you an estimate on, what needs to be done to the property. So,
Right.
just, being in the right place and just offering to, help someone get
Networking,
something done.
got to network.
Absolutely.
Yeah, those meetups is for sure very important.
Yeah.
Now, what do you have in the works now as far as anything else you're getting into?
So kind of digging more into trenches. My whole thing now is, transportation and housing.
Right.
2 things that are really never going out of style. So, in terms of housing, I have some partners that I'm working with that, we're still doing wholesaling. I'm also getting my real estate license. So for me, it's about, cash flow and creating that, creating income. So in terms of being an agent, getting our own flips and me being an agent representing it and also wholesaling. So at the same time, in terms of housing, that's where I'm at. And then transportation, I just started my Turo business. So, there's some people networking, some people that I've come into that have showed me some things that, where you can leverage your credit to get finance for vehicles, no money down. So right now I have 2 vehicles that I just put on Turo. Actually, when I leave here, one of them I actually have to go check in. And then also getting my dealer's license. So, for me, that's kind of where I'm entrenched at in terms of, transportation, housing, and of course, boxing. So.
Now, Turo is one thing that we haven't talked about yet on the podcast. For those who might not know exactly what is Turo, how can you start a business from it? How can you make money from it?
So Turo is a peer-to-peer rental service. So, if you have a car that you're not necessarily looking to, studies have shown that 90% of the time people's vehicles are parked. So,
Even right now, our car's outside.
Exactly. So, and especially if a lot of people nowadays, they have more than one vehicle in the household. So, if you have the opportunity, you can leverage that to earn extra income. So, right now I have 2 vehicles that I just put on there. Basically, I'm just leveraging the fact that I'm not using the vehicles and, I can make money off of it. And when people aren't driving, if I wanted to go have fun or something, I can drive a car. It's, basically expense free.
And I think the great thing is about Turo is because, like, the older generations, they always say, cars are liabilities, cars are liabilities.
Absolutely.
And, like, nowadays, through apps and just through technology, period, we have the access to make something that's a liability to an asset.
Absolutely.
And realistically, when you think about it, you can rent anything. You can rent out your cars. Gio, you renting out this camera equipment to us. You can rent out pretty much rent out the gym, do event spacing. Nowadays, literally everything's for sale and everything's for rent. And we have the technology to market and to promote those different services. So now, Turo is a big business for sure, and it's been blowing up. It's been blowing up a lot, especially around the pandemic time and everything. Everybody's traveling, and we're in a city, LA, Long Beach, where it's a tourist city.
Exactly.
You feel me? So
Exactly.
it's a lot of it's a big market for a lot of rental vehicles for sure. And I remember you telling me about investing out of state. You were telling me about can you get into that a little bit?
So I'm in a group sub 2 with Paige Morby. And basically, it's basically a group where it's nationwide investors that are basically kind of, wholesaling, getting properties out of state, rental properties. So my whole mind is based on, if, you can go into a market where it's, in terms of, the money to enter the market isn't that much. I definitely would love to leverage. So right now I'm looking in Ohio to buy a duplex, and just cash flow about, if I can cash flow, $1,800 a month or something like that after my mortgage is paid, which is around $1,000. If I'm pocketing $800 a month, it's about, to me, it's about creating streams of income.
Hell yeah. Those numbers add up. For sure.
Exactly.
10,
Exactly. So, if you're doing that over a year, and if you can, it's, to me, it's really all just monopoly. If you can do that, you just duplicate that. I did it once, then I can duplicate it again. And when you look up, you have 10 of those a month.
Yeah, you up.
That's,
And you got the Turos coming in. That's
so
passive.
Exactly. So it's just like, as long as, if you have these streams of income coming in, I mean, you can, my whole mind is I want to put my life on autopilot.
Right.
So if I can put my life on autopilot in terms of my expenses, where my mortgage is paid, my car notes are paid, my food is paid for, my traveling is paid for, I can really focus on, the bigger things in terms of, like I have my nephews with me this week, and I can actually invest in them so they can. So when I was in prison, there was a guy that was talking about elephants and how elephants, when you take the bull away from the flock, the babies just run wild. They're tearing down the trees in the jungle, and but when they have a bull around, they have a focus. So it's like kids, we all know as growing up kids, we're high energy. We don't know where to put that energy, but if you can give that energy a focus, then they can amplify what they're able to do because the energy is focused towards something. So it's like, for me, that's what I want to be able to pass on to the next generation. Like, you have this energy, just give it a focus. You can do as much damage as you want in terms of, so, but if my life isn't on autopilot, I can't really invest that in YouTube because I'm so focused on not drowning over here. So, that's where my mentality is.
We're going to clip that one, Gio.
That's a gem.
We're going to cut the clip that one.
That's a gem. Bookmark.
Elephant. Nah, for real. And I honestly think the whole reason to be, financially free is just to have your time.
Exactly.
Because I've noticed a lot of people, everybody wants to be entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
But a lot of the time when we are starting businesses, we're really just creating a job for ourselves.
Yeah. That's the main.
And
that's exactly what
And the business is really like a child in a sense as well. You got to take care of it and nurture it as well. You don't want to spend so much time in your business that you're neglecting, your family. So I feel like how he said, putting your life on autopilot, that's what everybody should strive for. Absolutely. And should try to do. And I noticed just communicating with you, just talking to you through this podcast, you've been mentioning a lot of groups.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of our problem, or just a lot of people's problem in general, is we want to do stuff by ourselves.
Yeah.
We're not willing to go out and go to groups, and we're not willing
that
to go.
Independent story.
Yeah, everybody want to be independent. Everybody, but realistically, we can all help each other grow.
No, for real.
Everybody want to just do it themselves, and this they're saying. It was a saying. I think, Danny Grace, not Danny Grace. What's his name?
Oh, Derek Grace.
Derek Grace. I think he posted something. And he said something one time that really stuck with me. He said, "If you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together."
African proverb. Yeah.
That's an African proverb.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about that. The African proverb. He said, "You want to go far,
go with a group.
Go with a group."
You have to.
And everything you're saying is, I joined the group. I surrounded myself. I networked. And it took you far. It took you far for real. Now let's get into the boxing. Pretty much, when did you realize that you wanted to box? When did you realize you had a passion for boxing? I'm about to say passion for fashion. When did you realize you had a passion for boxing?
I've actually been boxing since I was about 15.
Yeah.
So yeah, but actually my trainer Boost actually got me to where it's like, you have the skills. I mean, so leverage it.
Right.
So you're not gonna be 30 forever. So you leverage what you have.
Right. And that's the thing. I feel like everybody in every city has somebody that just can fight, just for no reason, and just be whooping shit. You feel me?
Yeah.
Go in the boxing gym, make some bread.
Yeah.
Because people have natural talents just
Absolutely.
to fight.
Yeah.
And just you feel me? Make some money off of it.
Make some money off.
You feel me?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
And so you've been boxing since you was 15, in and out, or?
So I started boxing because of the street. So like, gang banging and stuff like that. I always consider myself like a heart. So like, you know, if I'm somewhere and it's an issue, you know, I feel like, you know, I'm going to be the one to step forward. But,
Right.
you know, I didn't really hit a growth spurt till I was like 18. So I was about 5'7", 5'6", 5'8". And I'm going to these places where I'm fighting these grown men.
Get out. Who said so?
Exactly. So, you know.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Fighting these grown men. So it's like, you know, I'm definitely, you know, I mean, I'm winning, but at the same time, it's like, dude, I'm 14, 15, fighting 25, 30-year-old men. So, you know, they
my
definitely,
life right now.
they got grown man strips, so I'm getting hit like, man. So, like, you know, my football coach at Morningside, Coach Fletcher and Coach Muhammad was like, man, if you're going to be fighting, go box. So
Right.
I ended up going to Rogers Park and, you know, learning how to box from there.
Okay, cool. And then that just kind of always stuck through your head through everything about the boxing. You always was in the back of your mind.
So my dad was a boxer, and then just
in your blood.
Yeah, pretty much. My dad was a boxer, and just I've always been of the mind that, you know, if you're supposed to be the man, you're supposed to be the protector. So,
Right.
and I've always been humble enough to know that. Well, I always figure I'm humble enough to know that, you know, I don't mind going to learn from someone.
Yeah.
I know how to fight, but he
It's a whole different
really
game.
knows. Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Boxing a whole different thing. So, like, you know, I always don't mind, you know, going to learn something. So that's why I wouldn't learn how to box.
Yeah, you gotta be humble enough to always, and that it's not even about boxing. I think that's just in life in general.
In life in
Yeah.
general.
You
for
always
real.
gotta be humble enough to,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
There's always somebody that you can learn from, whether if
Yeah.
it's a CEO
Yeah.
or somebody outside of 7-Eleven. You feel me? You
Absolutely.
can learn something from everybody. That's why I'm always nice to people. Jaivion, he an asshole. Ignore motherfuckers. They open the door for him. He gonna say nothing. Jaivion, a little asshole.
That's crazy. That's crazy. You know, smart on me like that.
Nah.
Cause I be the one buying them food, and you be like, nah, I ain't got change. That's crazy.
Yeah.
We're not gonna start this, bro. We
No,
was
we
on-
not.
we
We was doing good. We was doing good.
We was doing
If
good.
we not about to go there, I'm about to end it right there.
Yeah, end
solid.
it right there.
We good. Nah, I appreciate you coming out.
All the time, man.
16.
Oh, the 16?
Yeah. You got the instrumental, Gio?
Got that
Yeah, play the instrumental
Yeah,
real
I
quick.
can't rap, bro.
No, we appreciate you coming out for
All the
real.
time,
Thank
man.
you for dropping that
For
knowledge.
sure, for sure.
And
Can I ask a question?
of
Oh,
course.
yeah.
Talking about books, what books do you recommend?
Oh yeah, right.
So definitely Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. A book in terms of groups that really changed my whole perspective is Who Not How by Dan Sullivan. People in terms of, so in going to school, that's kind of like why we have that mentality, like do it on your own, because you're not taught to leverage anything in school. So in Who Not How, he talks about when you're approaching something, when you look at it from a who standpoint instead of a how standpoint, it opens up your arena. So if I'm looking at, you know, how can I make $5,000 this month, instead of looking at who can I leverage?
Who can help me make $5,000?
Exactly. So, you know, when you're looking at who, it opens up your horizon. You're not as stressed. It gives you, you know, opportunity to attract, as opposed to how it's like you beating your head against the wall, because it's like, I only have so many skills personally.
Yeah.
So, but, and then, so Rich Dad Poor Dad in terms of mentality, in terms of, you know, money and leveraging. Who Not How in terms of mentality and, you know, how to be a team player,
Right.
build your team, be somebody to somebody, and have someone else do the same to you. Another book I would say would be, what is that book we just read? We read it this year. What's the name of that book? Not Straight Line. It's
Who's the author?
the author is the guy made Keller Williams. It's not The Compound Effect. It's The Compound Effect, and I can't remember the book right now. I don't know. It's just really slipping my mind.
If you remember it, text it and we'll put it like in a description or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, but yeah, I try to read at least a book a month if
Right.
possible. Just always keep something in your head because other people's perspectives can help you in ways that you can't imagine.
I think that who not how that stands on pretty much what you was talking about just freeing up time and everything like that.
Yeah.
You feel me?
Because that's one of the things he was in actually writing the book. He didn't even write the book.
Yeah.
He came up with the idea. He had somebody else write the book.
Yeah.
So he leveraged that to the max. So,
Right.
you know.
If you got the money, leverage your money and let everybody else just do it for you.
I mean, yeah. So, and he talks about leveraging everything. So, you know, leverage everything, whether it's money, information, your time, the people. I mean, you know, and that's what Turo did. They leveraged their marketing capabilities to people who have vehicles, and people who have vehicles leverage their vehicles. So, you know, they're who's to each other.
And you know what's crazy? We was about to end it, but I guess we about to keep going. Fuck it. Nah. So look, it's only 40 minutes. Let's go for an hour. Nah. Well, what time your appointment for the tour?
No, I don't have to meet till 12. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Man, so look, like last year, maybe 2 years ago, it was a 1996 Benz, right?
Yeah.
Red. And I don't know why, but I always wanted because I was born in 96.
Yeah.
I always wanted a 96 Benz, and I found one for like $6K, right? And I told my girl, like, I want to get it. You feel me? My girl, like, no, don't get it. And as I'm running one day, this is before boxing, I stayed in shape.
Yeah.
Even when I wasn't boxing, nigga, I was ready. Nah. So I'm on a jog and I'm running because I really want this car. I'm like, how the hell can I get it?
Yeah.
You know? And as I'm running, I thought like, okay, well, it's a classic car. Like it looked nice. It was drop top, 96 Benz. It was red. It was nice. You feel me? Leather and tan leather interior. Shit was clean. And I thought like, okay, this one I had like a cool little nest egg. I'm like, okay, I can get the car and maybe I could rent it out for photo shoots. Maybe motherfuckers want to rent it out for music videos and blah, 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 blah. And I had that idea pretty much of like how you said, renting it out, leveraging everything. And then talking to my girl, she was like, nah, like don't do it. I'm like, all right, I didn't do it. Now, 2 years later, now everybody on Turo, everybody renting, you feel me? And I'm just thinking, like, just like the other day, I was thinking, like, man, I should have got that Benz.
Yeah.
I could have rented that motherfucker out.
No, for real.
I need to see if it's still for sale, shit.
And actually, the name of that book is called The One Thing.
The one thing.
Okay.
There you go.
Thing.
See, we kept it going. He remembered the one thing.
Absolutely, The One Thing.
I know. I've been reading the book called Extreme Ownership. I forget.
Oh,
you
by
like that one?
Joko Willing.
Boom.
I'm finna start that book this week.
Yeah,
I'm
I've been
starting
reading that
book
one.
on
It's a
Monday.
good one.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Okay.
And it's teaching me patience.
Okay.
This nigga. A lot of patience.
There we go. I don't know. Some say I got good patience. though.
Jaivion, what you been reading?
Putting up with you.
What you been reading?
Rich Dad, Poor Dad. hey, I'm not even gonna sit here and act like, you know.
What's your favorite chapter?
I'm a bro. Chill out.
Oh, okay.
Nah, I'm not even gonna sit here and act like, you know, I'm a big reader. You know what I'm saying? That's one thing I've been working on. Like, honestly, this podcast is like opened my mind to reading, you know, because Rich Dad Poor Dad has been mentioned like for numerous episodes.
I got it. I give it to you.
I know. I asked you.
Oh, my mama was reading it when you asked,
asked you for it.
My mama was
Yeah,
reading it when you asked for it.
But yeah, so honestly, like, you know, just having a bunch of different entrepreneurs on and things like that, the first thing that they would recommend was reading. Yeah, Rich Dad Poor Dad. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it opened my mind to it. You know, as much as I hated doing it in school because that was an assignment. You know what I'm saying? Now that I'm doing it, you know, for leisure and, you know what I'm saying, to actually, you know, educate my mind, I was, you know, open to doing it and just, you know, just start seeing where I could go from there, you know. And
I'm actually so another reason why I'm accountable is I'm in a book club. So
Okay.
Groups, just like you train more because you're at a gym. So having accountability partners is always, and that's basically what groups are. Groups help you not only grow, but they make you accountable. So
I gotta join some groups.
Got to.
yeah, so I mean, I'm at this gym. Y'all keep me on in terms of my fighting. I want to do real estate, so I'm in sub 2. I want to do transportation, so I'm in actually 2 programs, PTG and Pushman Mitch. I'm in his course, so it's like just, you know, being around people that are, and just being a fighter, you're competitive. So, you know, if I'm in a group and I see, it's not that I'm, you know, it's like I'm wishing anything bad, but like I see you doing what you're supposed to, it makes me like, okay, Because when you're in a bubble, when you're not really doing nothing, it's all just you. It's like whatever you accomplish, that's that's kind of the mark. But if in your group, you're in a group, I'm like, okay, I got 2 cars on Turo, but I'm in a group. He got 20.
Yeah.
So it's like,
I gotta
okay.
get on that. Yeah, I
Set
gotta
my
level
bar
up.
Yeah, it's not.
So also I'm hearing like you don't want to be the most successful person in your group. You
Never.
always want to surround yourself by
I
somebody.
mean,
that's more
because
successful.
if you're the smartest person, what can I learn? All y'all can really do is blow my head up. But if someone's doing better than you are at the same level, I'm not afraid to tell you like that's not really that's regular.
Yeah.
So like if I'm in a group and I'm the best person in the group, just like people in entourages, if I'm the rapper and I'm just hanging around with a bunch of flunkies, they not gonna tell me no or tell me because I'm feeding their lifestyle, I'm giving them money, I'm the main attraction. But if another rapper gets another rapper around another rapper, like nigga, that shit whack.
Yeah.
You don't pay me, you don't feed me, you don't do nothing, so I don't have no reason not to tell you the truth.
Right.
So, that's the reason why I'm always around people that are, either on my level or better, because it's like they give me, they not only give me, help me in terms of challenging me, they give me more in terms of, helping me create a larger aim for myself.
Exactly.
Because if you're at a plateau, you can sit on a mountain and be like, shit, this the mountaintop. When you look over, it's another mountain, like, okay, and that's not enough. So.
I meant to mention it before when we was talking about Rich Dad Poor Dad. My favorite chapter of Rich Dad Poor Dad? It was mind a business that pays you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mind a business that everybody always...
In somebody else's mix.
Somebody else's business. That's why it's hard to, you feel me, fluctuate your pockets when you are watching somebody else.
Pockets.
Pockets. Nigga, don't let's start. You didn't stutter this episode. I'm kind of proud of you.
Bro.
You experienced it. You ever asked Jaivion some shit? Nigga start stuttering and shit. Put him on the spot. You been comfortable with this episode, huh?
Bro, chill
You
out.
with the guys?
Chill out, bro.
Stutter like a motherfucker.
I've been reading.
Oh, you been reading?
I've been reading.
That's good. I'm proud of you. I'm good. Yeah. No, what was the name of your of the book club?
So it's the morning meetup with David Shands, Sleepers for Suckers.
Yeah, I think you were telling me about that.
Yeah.
So they pretty much do books and stuff as well.
So he not only we actually just started that in last probably this year, but I joined it because I'm in recession proof as well. And so being in recession proof, they automatic. So he pays for the first 3 months of you being in the morning meetup. So, being in the morning meetup, exposes us to a bunch of, people that are doing taxes, people that are doing real estate, people that are doing cars, people that are doing internet marketing. Just, he just exposes us to a whole insurance. So, and then this year we started the book club. So now, every morning, 4:45 in the morning, we're talking about, what books we're reading. So.
Right. And I think also what I'm hearing is by you mentioning the different clubs and different programs is before you can actually invest in the actual tangible assets, you got to invest in like the mental assets.
Absolutely.
You got to be willing to pay for the information first, or willing to go out and get the information so you can go out and get the actual physical assets and, start making that bread back.
Absolutely.
Pretty much realistically, all these programs and all these courses that you take, they're investments. You know?
Exactly.
You're investing in your mindset. You're investing in your mental health and your mental wealth. Mental wealth. I'm gonna put that on the shirt. Nah, for real. Nah, that's good. That's good.
Before we end, it was because I had seen maybe a month back, that you had just got your office. Was that through Subdue or was that something?
So I'm getting my office because in order to get your dealer's license, they want you to have a physical office. So I got the office to get my car dealer license.
Okay.
Yeah. Boom.
Okay.
So what's the program? What's the process? Real quick. What's the process between that? You need the dealers.
So they have a course. It's the course they have called Dealer 101. So it's like a 6-hour course, and then you have to go then you have to go take the test at the DMV, and then from there they have you fill out an application. So right now I'm in the application process. They sent some stuff back that I have to fix. So, and then there you can actually start going to the dealer's auctions.
Right. And that's just going to give you access to a different array of cars that's going to be cheaper and it's going to be better quality than just the regular auctions or the public auctions or things like that.
Yeah, and so my whole mentality is just to leverage, right now, my mentality is for every 4 cars that I buy, I'm going to keep one to rent and sell the other 3. So, You
Keep
know,
flipping.
yeah. So you make money, make chunks of money, but at the same time, you know, I'm renting these cars out, you know, to keep steady
flow.
income. Exactly.
Hell yeah. No, that's it right there. You good, Jay?
Good.
You good?
This
Yes,
was a
sir.
good one.
Gio, you good?
Sir.
Like I said, bro, I appreciate you coming
All the
out.
time,
For
man.
sure.
We got to come back again probably in like a few months, you know, when some more things happen, some more things going to play, and then we just give the people, update the people on everything we got going. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been episode 37 of the Children of the Trenches podcast. If you found any information, I know you found some information, but if you found any information, any entertainment from the podcast, all we ask is that you like, comment, subscribe, share, and what else, Jay?
Turn that notification.
Turn that
bell.
notification on so you can be notified when we drop a new episode.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. Thank you for coming out.
All the time,
Like we
bro.
said.
Nah, it was dope
Yes, sir.
for sure. For
All right,
sure.
bro.
And we out. Yeah.
Yeah.